By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now. Bengals game day is so close, you can almost taste it. Bengals watching. Better with Pepsi.
There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a one-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouser Tommies on Anfield Index. I'm Jim Boardman and I'm with Jay Reid as always. And it's not, as always, we say we're having such a great time to be Liverpool fans, but it's been, it's not been that bad a thing to be, has it, the last few years? And I don't want to kind of speak too soon, but it's feeling, because, you can jinx things and all the rest of it, but it's feeling like it could be one of the best times to be a Liverpool fan in years, the way things are going. We'll see how it unfolds, but basically, we went into the international break on a high. Went in with a win. Other teams haven't done so great. We've come back out the international break. We've kind of watched everyone else play, and we're now 8 points clear at the top of the table after 12 games, which is, that's a massive, massive gap really after 12 games. It's still too early. There's still time to mess up a couple of bad weekends, and that can soon be eroded. But and obviously Man City still to come and all the rest of it. But we're 8 points above City and 9 points above the next three teams after that. We're well ahead. And okay, reality's coming. We've got Real Madrid next. We've got Man City next after that in the league, as I've just said. But I think if at the start of the season we'd said anything like this was going to happen, you'd have laughed. You'd have laughed at someone who's been over optimistic. And I think it's just been a good start to the season in all kinds of ways. We didn't know, new manager, all the rest of it. And I think what we saw yesterday, we played Southampton. We beat them 3-2. I was thinking, this is sort of, there were sort of flavours of old Liverpool on the bad day sort of thing coming through yesterday, where just moments of sloppiness that cost you the game. But I think, I don't know, in some ways, maybe they've done that so often under the last manager without having a go at him. It was quite often we'd be conceding sloppy goals and then we'd fight and come back and win. And maybe that muscle memory was in there to remind them how to do it. Bad performance at times. Southampton, I genuinely don't know why they're bottom, but they are. And it doesn't matter now, though. We've left them bottom. We're right at the top. And Jay, it was a great match in the end. But, I suppose as much as we're on this high and we're 8 points clear, we've got to be honest. We've got to watch out for these moments of sloppiness, haven't we? Because we're not always going to get the chance to put it right.
Yeah, I think I speak for myself and many other Liverpool fans that we probably thought yesterday was a formality. And maybe the team themselves thought that.
Yeah.
Top versus bottom, all the cliches were there. Sky were trying to build a narrative for the international break, and, our only defeat this season, as we're very well much reminded, came after an international break. But Arne Slot, being the, tactical mastermind that he is, figured that out pretty quickly. And then the second international break of the three that we've had, and now the third, he was wise enough to realise, the lads who went far enough to South America and probably overexploited by the countries, and especially in the case of Alexis McAllister when he he doesn't need to be, because Argentina aren't exactly reliant on just him. Yeah, I've got other midfielders and other players, sort of flogging them into the ground, and giving them the extra, benefit of not having to go in and perform straight away. And yesterday we did need Diaz and McAllister in the second half, but I think there was a lack of conviction, maybe over complacency in terms of especially the defensive backline for us in the Southampton game. But if it was a case that the lads have come back and sort of they're getting the international rust off them and the jet lag and whatever else, and they're just sort of shaking that off and thinking, right, well, get this out of our system. Southampton away in a game that we ended up doing enough to win is a better game to be doing it in than what's to come over the next 2 weeks or something like that, when we've got a bit of a heavy run and a lot of big fixtures in terms of names and reputations and standings and competitions and whatever on. But it was a case that I always thought in the end, especially in the second half, when we tend to perform a lot better as we have done this season, we would figure it out. We had the strength in depth on the bench, as I mentioned, in Diaz and McAllister. And I think I've seen a stat where, basically between the second and third goal, I think it was, or something like that, that we basically penned Southampton in their half. They didn't have a touch for 12 minutes leading up to our third goal in our half. So basically we were camped in their half. We were putting them under pressure, and eventually the pressure told. And yes, maybe a slightly fortunate situation with the penalty, but it was a penalty. I guess we'll get into the PGMOL and leveling up and stuff like that. But, we got, what was deemed a rightful penalty, because that's the way the rules state it at the moment with handball and whatever. But I think even then, if we didn't get that, we probably would have found a way, because this team have got a lot of quality, a lot of resilience, and you seem to have this mindset which, players who've been there and done it, you think of the likes of Mo Salah, Van Dijk, Konate, even Robertson, and then players who've not done it for us, but have done it in other situations. You think of McAllister, who's won the World Cup. You think of, Gakpo, who's won titles in Holland. You think of Diaz, who's carried his country to success, internationally. Getting through games that lads have put the pressure on their own shoulders, and they find a way to get things done. So all in all, given, as you say, the situation going into the break and coming out of the break and not being last to play, because as we record this on a Monday, there is a game this evening. Yeah. But in terms of our position within the league and those chasing, we were the last to play out of those teams, and some results, yes, went in our favour, but at the end of the day, you've just got to look after yourself. The one game at a time motto couldn't be more prevalent, but it has to be that way. We can't get too ahead of ourselves. It's 12 games in, but to have a lead, any lead, is a bonus. And yes, what is on the horizon gives the potential to make that even bigger and better. But we've got a couple of other things to negotiate first before that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we've had. I was thinking of Robbo as well, when you were talking about the plays and stuff and the resilience, and it was his foul. I mean, there was no doubt it was a foul that then led to a penalty. Whether it was a penalty is the debate, and in my view, it wasn't. But when you're in that situation, I don't think Robbo may be expected to play, because I think Tsimikas was sort of more or less penciled into play, but he's had some issue, so he was missing from the whole squad. So maybe Robbo wouldn't have expected to play the game. From what I was reading, that could have been complete nonsense. But even so, he played and he made this mistake, and you're thinking, oh God, is it this sort of season with Robbo where he's not what he was, and was that part of him just struggling? And everything I saw of him after that, I would say to himself, what were you talking about? And he's an example of one of the players that, you've had a setback like that. your head can go down and you can have an awful game afterwards. But I would say from his point of view, he didn't. And as much as I'm being critical of us, there were sloppy moments, and teams can punish you if you're sloppy, and you need to avoid the sloppy moments. But I wouldn't say we were kind of overrun by them for the whole game. There were some good moments for them. We saw Kelleher being as good as we can expect him to be, and that's really good. I know we've discussed on the show some of the shortcomings of him, but I didn't particularly see too much of that yesterday with him. A really harsh person would have said you could have caught that penalty, but the fact he got a save, if the penalty said a lot about him. On another day, that rebound wouldn't have been as fortunate for them. And I think that's the other side to it. We were maybe fortunate with our pen because it was a handball, but maybe they were fortunate to get a pen for the one that got them where they were. I think the first goal was a bit of good fortune. I also saw, of all the good players, they did see something that Konate got a 3 out of 10 in one online publication. I didn't think he played great, but I'm not sure 3 out of 10 is quite where I'd put him, but maybe I missed something. But I think that resilience is what gets us through it. It's that leadership. It's Virgil van Dijk with the armband. There's Mo Salah without the armband, but he's a captain in his own way. As Andy Robbo is, these are captains of the countries as well, so they've got that leadership in them. They've got that ability to rouse everyone. We're not going to get onto it yet. We'll get onto it in a little bit about Salah and Virgil's future. But that's the thing that Slot's inherited amongst other things. It's just a team that just knows how to win, keeps its head high, doesn't let setbacks get to it. And one of the biggest things Liverpool have had to deal with in the last few years, I would say, in terms of setbacks and having to say, being aggrieved by it, managers yellow carded and sent to the stands over it about these things. It's refereeing decisions, officials on the pitch, over in Stockley Park, running sideways along the side of the pitch. We've had nothing, but we've had very few great officials in the last few years. Certainly when Klopp was here, doesn't seem to have changed now. There's one that's sort of in the naughty corner being investigated for all kinds of stuff, but we don't hear anything on that yet. And I almost thought maybe PGMOL, they won't want any controversy in this game. They want to give us a referee who's not going to mess us about. And I don't know, it just felt like the penalty was just too quick to wave it as a pen. It didn't look like a pen to me. It looked like he was outside the box. And to me, with that kind of decision, you think it's outside the box, you don't give a pen. And then you've got VAR to tell you that you're wrong if it is. But it felt like he did it the other way around. It was almost as if he'll give the pen and then VAR will overturn it. But VAR don't overturn things like that anymore. The way they've self-policed things to say that basically it's got to be massively obvious that there was a mistake, like unbelievably obvious that it was a mistake, means that things just don't get overturned like maybe they should. There's so much goes on in football. You can watch any game, whether it's a team you support, a team you hate, or a team you're totally neutral about. You see stuff in a game and you can make your own mind up what something was. But until you see a replay, you don't know for sure. And if you're the ref, you've got to be right. And I just think, it's something that he's looking at is refs must have that feeling in their own mind that it's 50-50 at the most, that they've got a doubt over the decision they're making. I just don't get why in football they can't just go to the VAR on the headset, assuming the VAR haven't been cleared out by a mysterious fire drill. Apparently that happened in the Man United game yesterday. But basically, get onto the VAR just ever so quietly, and it should be allowed to say, look, I really don't know on that one. I think it was just outside, but I really don't know. I would hate not to give the pen. So I'm giving the free kick, can you have a look? Or vice versa, but then the VAR to have a proper look. To be fair to Slot, he said, with things like that, you can't really complain. It's not subjective. It's like an offside. You're either offside or you're not. But they don't draw lines and things for that penalty decision. And when I saw a little clip of who was in the VAR room, Mr. Oliver, I was just thinking, all right, well, this is going to be a good process, isn't it?
Yeah, we've said many a times over the months and whatever doing this podcast, other sports have video assistants. We watch other sports as well as football, and it seems as though they all just seem to get the process right. Yeah. Not the quotation good process laugh. They just get it right because they know what they're doing. There doesn't seem like it's a little boys club and they're all sort of looking out for themselves. It's more, this is the rules. This is the this is what happens. You think of like cricket, for example, is it pitching in line? Is it in the wickets? It's very clear what is, going to happen. Are you in or you're out? I watch a lot of American football, as I've said, and, every touchdown is reviewed. And, you wouldn't say, every goal has to be reviewed in football, but every touchdown is reviewed in the background. And, quite obviously, most of them are usually like, that's fine. On we go. I press play with the game and off it goes. But with that yesterday, it almost seemed, as you said, like he couldn't wait to give it. And it was a very, subjective decision in terms of the area of the pitch. And, a lot of it was taken, Robertson's foot's on the line, but Robertson isn't the player with the ball. Robertson isn't the player being fouled. Robertson's the player doing the foul. So, where did the contact take place? Just because his foot is on the line. Yeah. We've seen, okay, well, let's rewind it back to, a couple of years ago, Man City. The ball, when we played them, was on the line, but it wasn't all over the line, so therefore it wasn't a goal. So, you can...
It's not offside, is it? The people are talking about like it's offside. If it was an onside decision and Robbo's foot was there, then it's that foot that's nearest the goal that counts, isn't it? But it's not. That's not for the pen.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write 1 million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Is it time to reimagine your future? The right business skills may make a difference in your career. At Capella University, we offer a relevant education that's designed to focus on what you need to know in the business world. We'll teach professional skills to help you pursue your goals, like business management, strategic planning, and effective communication. And you can apply these skills right away. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
But what I don't get is they have the ability to draw the lines, as they call them, in offside. So draw the line on the 18-yard box if that's what you want to do, as fuzzy as it might be, and then draw the line where the contact takes place. And there's probably, I would say, a very, very good chance that there's a clear daylight between those two lines.
Yeah.
And therefore shows the contact took place outside the box. Now, as it transpired, as I say, it was levelled up in the second half. I'm not saying that was, a favourable decision in terms of the handball, but I think one that was missed and sort of got well overshadowed by the Sky coverage was obviously the Lallana instance on Gravenberch. And you look at, I don't really find myself having the time to watch the rest of the league and maybe watch Match of the Day every now and again because it's there. But it tends to be because you'll find yourself frustrated at decisions that happen in other games that don't happen, across the board. There's no consistency. There's no, this is dangerous play out of control. And now I'm thinking of the Norgard red card for Brentford against Everton when he, some might say, justifiably left one on Pickford if you've got a rose or red tinted glasses on. But at the end of the day, he was out of control, reckless, as they say, straight red, off he goes. And you go, okay, well, that's fine and that's fair. He was, not in control of what he did. And then you fast forward 24 hours or so to Adam Lallana, out of control, not looking, catches Gravenberch, maybe not as high as what Pickford was caught by Norgard, but still, ankle to shin height. And it was quickly a yellow card. And it feels as though, right, well, he's given a yellow card, he's told him off. Adam Lallana's not that type of player, as they say. And it was just sort of forgotten about and didn't really happen. And you think, well, let's have a bit of consistency, lads. And then, as you say, you'd have a look at the fella who's behind the monitor in Stockley Park, and then all of a sudden you think, well, now it makes sense. And you shouldn't have that mindset. But unfortunately, that's the situation we're in with these referees. We know, they're not all, bad, but a few of them seem to have a similar view on the game, and you could argue certain persuasions towards teams. Now, we know Michael Oliver is a Newcastle fan, but we also know Michael Oliver moonlights in, the Middle East, refereeing for, a country that seems to own a club that play in Sky Blue in Manchester, and you would then question where the paychecks are coming from, and would they be labelled as sweeteners? But, this is speculation. We can't necessarily prove anything, but I'm sure if someone wanted to do enough investigating and enough digging, they might find something that would connect a couple of dots. But it does just seem as though there's a small collection of the group of referees who seemingly are always connected to big decisions with certain teams. Now, obviously, the fella who's being investigated had a few questionable decisions, and then obviously it come out that, there was a reason why he didn't referee Liverpool for 3 years. I don't know if it's been released yet, but it'll be interesting to see who the referee for the weekend is against Manchester City. I'm going to put my money on saying it's Tony Taylor because, Manchester's Tony Taylor must referee a big game involving a Manchester club and a Liverpool.
Because he supports Altrincham, so he won't be biased.
So he's impartial, of course.
Yeah.
And, if it is him, then you'd probably have a fair shot at saying it might be Mr. Atwell or Mr. Tierney on VAR, but we'll see who comes out. It probably gets released in the next 24, 48 hours because usually that's how it goes. But, we shouldn't be saying this. We shouldn't be saying, that could be the focus, and we should be looking at football. We should be looking at the good things. But yeah, we find ourselves on a weekly basis saying these fellas who are meant to be doing their job and doing their job properly, as Roy Keane would say.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking about those other incidents as well, the one that jumps out at me with red cards is one that because they hardly ever turn a yellow card on the field into a red card with VAR. Like, if the ref's really quick getting the yellow out. And I've seen refs, like ex-referees, who kind of talked about like the best way to deal with situations in matches is just take a minute, just get your breath sort of thing. Act as if you're getting your breath together. You're just getting everyone ready. Give yourself a second or two and then decide whether it's a yellow or a red. So first of all, to me, if you're swiftly out with a yellow like that, you're not doing your job properly. If a referee's been saying that, like about, I don't know, I can remember hearing this, like, must be 5, 6, 7 years ago. That's the way to do it. Unless PGMOL has said don't do that anymore, then that's straight away, that to me is a bad mark against the ref. Wait a minute and see, is it a yellow, is it a red? Have a minute to think, see if your linesman has anything to say, see if your assistant has anything to say, if the fourth official might want to butt in. Maybe even although they say they shouldn't, maybe someone on VAR might pipe up, but just give yourself a second before you put the yellow out. But if you do put the yellow out, you just don't see very often that it gets overturned and made into a red. Yet It happened to us, didn't it? Curtis Jones against Tottenham in that absolute joke of a game for officiating. The one where the goal was disallowed because he didn't realise what the on-field decision had been. Just embarrassing game all around, that one. Yet the problem with that game at the time was all the focus was on that stupid goal that shouldn't have been disallowed. But they sort of, they quite happily did that and then didn't really cover the Curtis Jones one, which I've seen so many incidents since then that are far worse in my eyes, and I haven't had a red. And I just, and this is the thing, it's consistency all the time, isn't it? Always consistency. Another thing about yesterday, though, as well, that caught my mind was, I keep reading about other teams having injury problems, and I think we've covered this before. There's so many players missing. There's talk about Real Madrid, who are coming this week, having 6 regular people missing. No one's mentioning what's happening to us because, luckily for us, the players, we're managing to put 11 decent players out because we've got a decent squad overall still. We've discussed before, we may be a little bit thin on the ground in certain places, but we've got a fairly decent squad. But yet again, yesterday, we had to name 2 goalkeepers, and we had some youngsters on the bench, and we weren't exactly sort of swimming with options. And he only used 3 players, one of whom only came on after 90 minutes. Endo came on for Darwin after 90. We're not exactly sort of blessed with a massive squad ourselves. And I think, I try not to get annoyed by the stuff I read in here in the press and in the media, because I don't know, sometimes there's part of me thinks just let them think that, let them say that, let them put themselves into that position where they think that's the situation, and that they're hard done to and stuff. Liverpool, I think, are struggling with injuries as much as anyone at the minute, and we're just fortunate that the ones we have got fit are decent players. I don't know. Maybe we're too biased to realise it. Maybe it's not everyone else is biased against us in the media, but God, it just feels like it at times, and I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and it doesn't fit the narrative, does it? That's the mainstream media would have you believe. Nothing winds me up more than seeing 2 keepers on the bench. Yeah. I just think surely somewhere in our setup we've got a young lad. We know we've got a talented academy. We know there's talented youngsters in there. Yes, of course, the under-21s, under-18s play on a weekend. But we knew going into that game yesterday, that we were a bit thin on the ground in terms of the squad. It would do no harm, even just purely for experience, taking a young lad out of the under-21 fixture, out of an under-18 fixture, whatever, whoever you may choose, you think Jayden Danns comes to mind as someone who was on the cusp last season. I think McConnell, I don't know if he's still knocking around or whatever. There's Trey Nayoni, there's a few kids there who we know are knocking on the squad door and feature in training at times. Why not just put them on the bench and just say have yourself the experience of travelling down, staying in the hotel the night before, seeing what it's like to prep as a first team player, and they might never see the pitch in the game, and that could be a sad time to think, well, why have you gone all that way? But it's getting them into that routine, getting them to see how it's done. Look at players like Mo Salah and say, look at the preparation this fella goes through. Look at the work he does. Look at how he sets himself up on match day, and we look at the injuries. If you take your number 1 goalkeeper, your most creative player, and your best forward out of any team, Man City, you take out Ederson, you take out Erling Haaland, and you take out, I think, Kevin De Bruyne or Phil Foden. They are undoubtedly weaker. You take out, David Raya, Martin Odegaard, and for heaven's sake, just like Gabby Jesus or someone else out of Arsenal, they're going to be massively weaker, and you will never hear the end of it. We're missing Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Diogo Jota from our squad yesterday. We're still missing Federico Chiesa, who we've yet to see anything really of. As you say, Costas Tsimikas were in and around the squad yesterday. You know, we had players like McAllister and Diaz who travelled, as we say, halfway across the world, who aren't probably 100%. So, you know, we're carrying a couple of things and we're missing players, but it doesn't fit the narrative that because we're 8 points clear now, because we're doing well, you can't really find a way to say, well, yes, they've got injuries. If we were in a different kettle of fish and say we're in Man City shoes, all of a sudden they'd be like, well, that's why. You know, it's sort of the thing that, like, when you're at the top, you'll be there to be shot at, but you've got no excuses at the end of the day. And to be quite honest with you, I'm pretty happy if we go on the rest of the season and they don't mention us having injury excuses, because if we're top of the league and they can't find a way to peg us down with that, then we're doing something right, aren't we? But it would be nice if we could have a couple of these players back available. And, you know, the sight of Harvey Elliott on the bench yesterday, okay, didn't see the field, but it's nice to know that a couple of these lads are coming back. And from Slot's press conference last week, it does sound as though, you know, the aforementioned Trent, Alisson, Diogo Jota, possibly Chiesa will feature in training this week. And even if, you know, one or two of them were available for the bench midweek against Madrid, or, you know, possibly even available for a start against Man City, it's that extra, you know, 5% boost that, you know, not necessarily could tip you over the line, but it's always good to see, as great as Kevin Gallagher is, as good as Conor Bradley is, as decent as Darwin Núñez can be at times. If those lads, Alisson, Trent and Jota, are in your starting lineup, all of a sudden you think we're powerful here. And no disrespect to the lads on the bench, but if Tyler Morton and Harvey Davis are dropped from the bench, and, you know, the lads who've been starting recently I sort of drop to the bench in Darwin Núñez and say Conor Bradley, you're thinking, well, that's a hell of a bench to have as well.
Yeah, excuse me, just coughing then. I would say as well, I was looking at what we've got left this year. It's like this calendar year. I mean, we play Real Madrid on Wednesday, which is the 27th of November. And then by the 29th of December, so like a couple of days more than a month ahead. Well, we've got Real Madrid, Man City, Newcastle, Everton, Girona, Fulham, Southampton, Spurs, Leicester and West Ham up until the 29th of December. So that's like, you know, what's that, 9-10 games in that space of time, which is just horrendous. And that is just before you get to the busy time of year when you get into January and all the busy stuff starts to come back again. There's no winter break this year. So between now and then, we can't go and sign any players either. So be interesting to see what we do in the window and whether we get forced into anything, because these players aren't, you know, as we've got players coming back, obviously some of these other players are starting to run out of legs a little bit now and getting a bit closer to injury. Luckily, I think the way Slot plays, though, there's been a lot said about this. I mean, Cy Brundish on this channel has spoken about it a lot as well. I've seen a lot of stuff from him explaining that our players aren't being pushed quite as hard, anywhere near as hard maybe, as they were under Klopp. So technically speaking, we'll get more life out of them in a season, or more game time out of them in a season in terms of how many minutes they can be used for, rather than before they start breaking down with injury. But even so, no matter how you play, it's a lot of games to play in the fastest league probably in the world. So hopefully we can get through to that window. But when we do get to that window, of course, everyone's sort of more concerned about making sure that we're not leaving the door open for anyone else to sign any of our players. And Trent's not fit at the moment, so he's kind of out of the picture a little bit. There's not been a lot said about him, but I think Diaz was with Salah yesterday when Salah was being interviewed by the local papers. I think, well, according to what I read, it was the local papers. But there's a bit of an interview going around, like a sort of phone interview. Someone's filming it on the phone speaking to Salah. And the upshot of what he said, you know, is that we're almost in December and I haven't received any offers yet to stay at the club. So in other words, he's probably more out than in. Now, whether he's sort of playing it in a certain way that he's saying, I personally haven't received an offer yet because my agent has been kicking all the ones I've had back, or whether he literally means the club have just not said anything to me, I'm not sure. If it's the latter, then I'm seriously, there's going to be mutiny amongst the fans with the club, I reckon, for not even making him an offer. If it's more down to his agent holding back and saying they've not made anything sensible yet, then that's maybe a different story. But for me, we shouldn't be having this conversation in the press. You know, he's either staying or he's going. The decision needs to be made. And if we've made him an offer and it's the final offer, I don't know. You've got to give him a deadline to sign the damn thing, because we need to start planning. This is the other side to it. If we haven't made him an offer, that's a story in itself. But if we haven't made him an offer that he's going to take, if he's not going to stay, we need to know that we've got someone lined up for next season. If we can't replace him, it's going to cost us a lot more money to get someone as good as him. Remotely as good as him, I would say. Someone else who'll do, for want of a better way of putting it. It could be really good, but still wouldn't be Mo. At the start of the season, I was kind of accepting the idea that he might be coming to the end of his time, because we saw last season, the first time, we'd really seen a drop-off in performances from him. And I thought, well, if that's basically down to his age and the injury's not going to come back from that the same, et cetera, then, you know, maybe we are saying goodbye to him. And if Saudi are coming in, someone over there's coming in with a massive offer, maybe even MLS or somewhere like that's coming in with a massive offer, we're going to struggle to keep him. Fair enough. The frustration for me is this: if it's true that we've not made him an offer, why haven't we made him an offer? Why haven't we made him an offer as much as we can afford, sensibly, or even maybe not quite sensibly, just to at least give him a decision to make?
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of one cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.